Hello, welcome and welcome back. This is Jacob, and today we're going to be continuing the narration for the 3rd anniversary side story in Arknights' Ideal City Endless Carnival. And as per usual, I'm going to recap the previous part here at the beginning very quickly, so whoever wants to skip it, timestamp in the comment section below. But I think I'm going to keep myself short here considering how many shenanigans were happening in the previous episode, starting with Eunectus chasing robots, making friends with robots, overhauling the robots, teaching the city representative who is in charge of the robots that the robots are friends, she acknowledging that, but still asking the robots very weird things. We also meet another representative of the Durin city in a croquet diamond face, continuing the trend of the Durins have very weird name combos. And very weird names in general. But from her we learn a bit more about the Stranger Thing magazine that someone at some point brought to them, and they have, out of that tabloid, learned a lot of things about the surface that are not true or are just exaggerated. But we do get also to see how very easily influential the Durin people actually are, in a form of Inam showing a tape of a competition to Croquet, and she being immediately fascinated by it. Also very quickly learning about lotteries. How long are these people gonna last? If they get exposed to the surface much more? But we also continue with finally getting to a decision of removing the giant water slide in the middle of the lake so that the railway bridge that Stitch wants to repair will finally be underway. And they also concoct another plan to build something else instead of the giant water slide there, because aesthetics and something as a memorial, I guess. But we got a final picture taken by the gang in front of the giant water slide, and then it gets blown apart. After that, Croquet starts off with firing up the crowd and starting off a race with a lot of booze on the line for the winner. And we get pretty much 3 teams from the get-go who are participating in the race. We have Gavial representing the Agahualans. We have, and on her back is Edge, who also needs to go to the other side to conduct his survey anyway. Then we have Avdotia, aka Pozemka, representing the Durins. And then we have Elysium, the sexiest man of Rhode Island. There, I said it again. Representing Rhode Island. And the race went off. In the meantime, I did some heavy shipping between Stitch and D-Culture. Totally not a ship, but a ship. Totally a ship. Who am I kidding? It's a ship. But he not really joins the race with a boat, because he also wants to go to the other side and deliver the equipment along the way. And he also promptly flips everybody off who's cheering him on from the beach. I love that little guy. I just love him. Anyway, the race continues. Edge has who is still riding on Gavial's back during the entire race, who is also in lead the entire time until Elysium starts catching up. But yeah, Edge jumps off her back, starts fighting with Stitch. The boat goes out of control. The boat actually wins, because that was the only way that Croquet would not have to supply months and months worth of free booze to anybody who would win. And that's where we ended. So, let's continue with the story. So, today we are going to be covering the story for stages 6, 7, and 8. And just gonna say this just right here at the beginning, stage 8 is just a before story, and I was thinking of maybe I should just make this entire part towards the end, but I'm also dreading how long part 9, or rather stage 9, and the scene afterwards are gonna be, considering everybody who has played Arknights for a while knows that the story surrounding on the last stage usually takes a while. So I'm gonna make that into the next part together with whatever comes right after that. But yeah, let's begin with stage 6. So, stage 6 is called Fight or Flight. Do not set foot on a battlefield you should not set foot on. Do not run from responsibilities you cannot run from. The tone is changing. So let's begin. Stitch opens his eyes and sees two familiar figures. Avdotia, I've got your fresh change of clothes here. Thank you. Also, Croquet, drink a little less in the future to be on the safe side. Sorry. All's well that ends well, though, wouldn't you say? No, I still don't see anything well about this. In the meantime, I suppose I'll find somewhere to change. With that, the two of them notice Stitch has come too. Good morning, Stitch. What happened to me? Do you still remember how you fainted? I was steering the boat, and then old Edge came running over, and then oof, my head. And then the boat went out of control, crashed against the shore, and flung the two of you out. And how about Master Edge? He woke up before you, and he's taken Elysium with him to survey for now. Wait, the gear on the boat? The equipment's all essentially wrecked. As for the survey gear, we had the deculture make that on the fly. The cutting equipment won't be necessary, though. Why? You didn't notice the terrible loud noise ever since you woke up? Avdotia flashes a begrudging glance at a place not too far off. And with her prompting, it finally hits Stitch that the persistent racket isn't just nature. Is that a mixture of a chainsaw's roar and a collapsing rock? Gavial, what in your right mind are you doing? Looks obvious to me. I'm sorting out this cliff face. The boat did put a considerable dent in the caved-in area, but clearing a passage was never going to be that simple. And with our cutting equipment down, I thought we'd be waiting for a while, but it turns out... well, seeing is believing. Forget rail repairs and surveys. Any bozo can tell this is my strong suit. Gazing all around, Stitch sees numerous fragments of extremely orderly cut rock, as well as a tunnel wide enough to fit two side by side. The fine work of Gavial, without a doubt. Which is to say, deprived of all the cutting equipment, Gavial opened a way through the tunnel all by her singular self. Stitch can't help but begin to suspect that the rumors he heard from the Akahualan tribes, all those legends of the invincible Gavial, were at least partially founded in reality. Oh, hey Elysium, how come you're back so soon? What happened? Where's Master Edge? Things have gone a little south, Gavial. Huh? You mean some giant Originium suck showed up or what? I heard Province saw something like that in Siesta. If it was just some creature, I guarantee I'd be happy to wisecrack with you right now. Follow me. After having drilled through the cave-in, everyone enters the tunnel itself. The space inside is more a cave than a tunnel in reality, both vast and profoundly deep. Nevertheless, Elysium is more than up to the task, and everyone proceeds through smoothly with him leading the way. So smoothly, in fact, that it piques their curiosities that he could grasp the tunnel structure in such a short time. There's even suspicion he's been this way before. However, that idea, more a joke than anything, pales in comparison to the hesitance at the sight that greets them where Elysium comes to a halt. It is a vein of originium, exposed on the surface of the strata. Moreover, anyone with some knowledge of originium could easily tell that this vein has been active for a very, very long time. And activity means explosion. Or put less kindly, disaster. How can this be? We detected the presence of originium veins in this direction back in the city's founding times, but they should have been much further out. Is there any chance the earthquake pulled them here? I heard about a few small aftershocks in the wake. The suddenness of this vein definitely matches, after all. It's not impossible. Right, that's it. Chances are that earthquake shifted it right over here. And what's more, it gave it that push. Got its activity slowly warming up. And because of the dome's originium sensor facilities have been down all this time, that's why we only just now found this out. Stitch, calm down. This isn't your fault. We made this decision as the collective inhabitants of Zererza. Things just... We haven't gone even a half-kilometer from outside, I'd wager. If a full vein of active originium explodes only that deep in, then Zererza is out of luck. Attention all residents of Zererza, we interrupt this broadcast with an urgent notice. Following the conclusion of our swimming competition prior, Master Edge has taken the initiative in leading a selection of other contestants through the cave-in to survey the tunnel. The results of this survey are not optimistic. Master Edge has discovered an originium vein in the tunnel, located approximately 1 kilometer from the city. We tentatively speculate this originium vein's existence was known at the time of Zererza's founding, in a stratum approximately 3 kilometers out. However, tectonic shifts originating in the earthquake half a year ago caused this vein to warp and extend closer to our city, and kickstarted its activation in the process. Currently, Master Edge is leading experts to urgently evaluate this originium vein's level of activity, and thus determine at what point in the future it will explode. We will provide further updates once accurate conclusions can be drawn. As of now, we ask all residents to be prepared to evacuate. Huh? An active originium vein is going to explode? Where's this coming from? Judging by the broadcast, we never picked it up after the earthquake wrecked the dome, since the originium sensor functions never got fixed since. Now that you mention it, I'm pretty sure I've heard Master Edge make mentions of the sort. Well, nothing to do about it now, such as it is. Don't you feel as though it was a poor decision to build the great aqua pit? What for? It's an outcome we're willing to take. True that. We've never rejected any of the naysay from Master Edge. He warned us as much when we decided to build this great aqua pit instead of repairing that hole in the dome. And we only made the decision once we understood and accepted the potential danger. All it is now is taking responsibility for the outcome of our choice. Huh. So it is, Surface Dweller. You don't need to give us any pity. Think about it this way. We've spent a good long summer at least, haven't we? I completely agree. Though, evacuating, eh? Haven't decided what I'm going to leave behind. Have you? I'm nothing like you are. If you ask me right now, my house here is my most wanted and most satisfying design yet. That's fair. I hope that the originium vein's not going off too easily. I still need to think a little. How about we go for a drink for now? Some old Carl mead? Not my poison. I'll rather be having a number 7 whiskey. I'd taken Durins to all be buffoons barely smarter than the Archosauri above them. It seems that was hardly the case. What's the outlook, Master Edge?
We'll need a little more time to be sure, but based on my experience, it'll go off within a month.
A month? Then we should lay the railway while we have the chance and arrange to evacuate the residents through the tunnel.
Not a chance, not enough time. Much more feasible if we dig a temporary shelter deeper in.
We're all aware the dome might be able to suppress some of the vein's explosion force should it go off. But the real issue is the originium dust scattering afterwards. Once it happens, the dust will fill this entire space and all of us will be affected by it. We have to repair the railway despite any danger at this point, and then we clear any obstructions and have everyone take refuge in Ordzimuga.
I hope that's the way you pronounce it. But the tunnel's already wall to wall with Originium now. It'll be a nightmare to pass through safely. Zererza's home to hundreds of thousands. Do you not understand how much time it'll take to feed them carefully through that tunnel? It's 2 by 2 at most in there. You realize that?
Hey, cool the quibbling. Gavial, I'll get to you in a moment. Master Edge, do you honestly have a better plan?
I believe we should begin immediately digging away from the Originium vein. We dig a small-scale shelter, big enough to hold everyone, then we seal off the way to it. It's just a question of digging deep enough.
It would be a harrowing feat to construct a shelter for hundreds of thousands in this short a time, even with all the technology Zererza has. And besides, that's hundreds of thousands of lives to support. What do you propose there?
And you think waltzing through the tunnel solves that?
At least there'll be leeway to begin to do so, provided we pass the most dangerous part of the vein. But if we stay in a temporary shelter, then consider what happens once the Originium seals off our singular passage to any other city. We'll have nothing to look forward to but a drawn-out death.
I can see your point there, but I still believe...
Of course, I understand the risk in my argument, but it's the least worst option we have now. You know, Avdotia, if it's not important, can you hold your peace for now, Gavial? Don't really want to disturb you guys either, but... Seeing as the tunnel's blocked, our only option left is to fix that super convenient lift-o-matic number 1 Tomimi mentioned, bringing all the Durins to the surface and let them live with our tribes for a while, right? I mean, anything wrong with that idea? You guys have been arguing over this forever. We head for the surface? Yeah. Guys, did you never consider that before?
Alright, and continuing to the after part.
Also, I just want to say, if up until now, we have all thought, hey, look, a fun vacation, right? Nah, we are still reading and playing our Arknights game.
Yup.
The dread and the existential crisis is slowly seeping in now. We're back. Anyway, pardon.
Head for the surface.
The Durins have never been to the surface before. Didn't Stitch and the people who brought all those library books back from the overground? And look, nothing in the rulebook says you can't, right? I mean, listen to you guys, the tunnel's too dangerous. A new shelter's gonna take too long. So you head up top and take refuge in Nakahuala for a while. That's the best plan for me. To me. That lift could hardly hold so many. What? I really want to refute you, but your group missed it during your time in Zererza, but trains are by far the most common means of transport in Durin society. Though lifts are convenient for vertical movement, Durin cities are nomadic, so they face the risk of destruction from the moment they are built. Lifts that can only move vertically have far less use to them than trains do. Moreover, Durin explorers have calculated Durin cities often lie 1,000 to 1,500 meters below the surface,
Hardly any cities exist outside of that range. Which is to say, Durins probe the underground in horizontals. It's rare for them to be... it's rare for there to be one city just 100, maybe 200 meters below another. So what does this have to do with the lift? I know explaining this to you is a waste of time, but I have to show responsibility for others here. What? All you're trying to tell me is trains are more Durin handy, yeah? I suppose so. And given that, what purpose would a lift then have for existing? I get it. It's for resources, isn't it? I don't claim to know why the Durins tend to expand their cities horizontally. Some kind of ingrained habit, I guess. But before that, it doesn't mean they scout out resources horizontally as well, right? I thought you were simply playing the braggart when you claimed you've been places. I can definitely see your prowess now. Wowie. Gavial, check it out. Even Miss Avdotia here sees my worth better than you do. Big whoop. Don't care. Miss Avdotia, next time you get into an argument with Gavial, I'm on your side. I'll be fine. Thank you. Anyhow, you're correct. The Durins are filled with a passion for probing underground, especially for minerals. In addition, city planning requires the joint decision of many, while digging is something each Durin is free to commit to at their leisure. Consequentially, they often end up digging several hundred meters above or below their cities out of sheer unawareness. In fact, quite a number of Durin historians believe the first Durin lift was only designed when an industrial representative discovered a vein in the roof of their very own city, and that it would be most convenient to dig straight to it. However, following an unchecked surge of Durin interest in the surface, such lifts have often been used as shortcuts to the overground. Huh. So you're saying Durins mainly use it to shift ore, and sometimes there's still scamps like Stitch hitching a ride on them to have some surface fun. I've told you I'm about the same age as you, Gavial. Aha, sure. So I mean, I get all that, but I still don't understand what you're getting at. Miss Avdotia is trying to say that since Durin lifts are mostly designed for industry, they're real sturdy stuff. Tomimi and me sure noticed that when we came down, the lift could hold a few dozen people, no sweat. So Gabriel, your suggestion's pretty feasible. Right, Master Edge?
You're here. I can confirm the super convenient Lift-O-Matic number 1 was designed after a vote, which came after some numbskull with nothing to do found a vein up above. But then we found a vein even closer, so the thing went by the wayside.
Oh, that tracks. I heard that one cave got mined clean. You think it was you Durin guys who dug the entire cave out in the first place?
That I couldn't say. It's possible.
In addition, to cope with potential future situations, the Durins would have naturally dug out more space while planning the lift, for ease of future enlargement. Which means if we're going to make the most reasonable use of our remaining time, enlarging the lifts and getting the Durins to the surface is definitely the way to go. Oh, you could have just said that then. If you only know what to do and not why you're doing it, then you'll run into setbacks someday. Yeah, I know that. But I'm a doctor, Avdotia. And look, you know it deep down, don't you? How could I ever not trust you? Why didn't anyone tell me we were getting along so well? In my opinion, we're already best buds.
Long and short of it is, I approve of Gavial's suggestion. You can hammer out the remaining details. I'll be continuing the survey.
I'll help you out, Master Edge. My arts can transmit info. If you turn up any results, I can notify everyone first thing.
Aye.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Miss Avdotia, I understand you're against returning to the surface, and your own experiences inform that. But you're one of Zererza's driving citizens too. Your opinion swings things. And you're an honorable person on top of that. Now's not the time for it. And you get that, don't you? Alright everyone. Rustle us up a happy plan. I'll have Master Edge too. No point in tossing around landmark designs now. Huh? Not like there's anything you can do in there, right? Can I not be concerned of my own city? Oh, sure. Knock yourself out. So, Avdotia, you still against it? If this is the best method we have to save the people of Zerwerza, then my small contrarianism hardly amounts to anything. However, Gavial, you're very strong. Stronger even than most Ursus soldiers I've met. But this isn't a problem you can solve with just strength. Have you thought about how we're dealing with hundreds of thousands of Durins here? If hundreds of thousands of people showed up out of nowhere in a region of Sargon, do you know how terrifying that would be? This isn't something you can solve just by telling us your rainforest is big enough. How will the region's Lord Amir react? And how will Sargon as a nation act? They're going to the surface because they believe in you, but if the reality awaiting them is crueler still, do you still have the courage to say that no other way will work? Gavial, you would be the most fitting Lord Amir for Akahuala. You are the only one who can reign in each and every Tiakau. Everyone is awaiting your return. And if you simply cannot do it, then it's ultimately likely that a Lord Amir from the court of Sargon will come to govern Akahuala instead. And when that happens, Akahuala will no longer be the free land you knew.
Gavial swallows a sliver of hesitation. She realizes the choice is now facing her. Waiting, and she didn't even notice that it came. No, she's not unwilling to assume this duty. Far from it. Not even on her vagrant trails, not even in her days on end at Rhode Island, did she ever forget Akahuala and her people. However, neither has she forgotten the decision she made when she resolved to leave Akahuala in the first place. She was going to study medicine. She was going to save the Euripathy sufferers. Those two choices she made were the right ones, and they were what she wanted. That's how simple it was. That's why she's never found it this hard to choose.
So it seems it crossed your mind. You're not that much of a simpleton. So, Gavial, if you truly can settle this problem, then I will be willing to even persuade the Durins for you. What is your answer?
But, just as Avdotia says, if this is the only way to save Zerwerza, if her becoming the Lord Amir would solve this problem, if this is the price she must pay to abide by her own ideals, then in that case,
I'll be the Akahualan Lord Amir, and I'll bear the responsibility for this.
The Mimi?
Zerwerza's going to be destroyed? Huh. That's a seriously unfunny joke.
Stitch lifts his head and lifts his gaze to the dome. He'd been avoiding repairing it all along, avoiding redesigning the thing, perhaps. He'd always assumed he'd still have time. Only now does he realize he's out. It's gone. He has time no longer.
Teacher, it seems my hope of surpassing you is behind me.
Stitch jumps aboard a small boat and sails it for the other shore. He has to find somewhere to calm down.
Tamimi, what are you doing here? We were bringing Master Edge's equipment and workers over, and came to see how it was going while we were here. Looks like we were right to do it. You too as well. Hold on, so Tamimi, have you ever actually seriously considered what you just said? Of course I have. Akahuala's always been without a Lord Amir, Miss Avdotia. It's just like you said, if all those Durins went to the surface, they'd draw the attention of the Sargon's government for sure. So before that happens, I'll be the Sargon Lord Amir to govern the Akahuala region. And I'll make all of this smooth and simple. No Lord Amir. Even then, becoming a Lord Amir isn't... I hold the status of Sargon's government posted Akahualan messenger and scout. If I assist, then provided Akahuala comes to have a Lord Amir before drawing government attention, this incident can be wholly suppressed. That should ease some of your concern, correct? But Tamimi, you... It's alright. This way you don't need to go back... This way you don't need to go to any trouble, Gavial. I mean, yeah, but... No pressure, Gavial. Tamimi's volunteering to do it, and if she doesn't, then I can do it too. Zumama. Or are you scared? You think you made a mistake? I don't. I just have this weird feeling. Let me think up a way to describe it. Yeah, okay. It's like I've got this giant boulder in front of me right now. And I'm thinking, I have to use up so much of my strength just to break it. But once I give it a shot, something tells me, wow, you can break this thing so easily. But it's like, why? Even though it's so big. Gavial, how's the axe I made you? Handy? Yeah, honestly even more handy than I thought. I like it a lot. I stayed for days straight making it for you, and the materials are all the best I could... There's a word missing, I just noticed. I stayed up for days straight making it for you, and the materials are all the best I could get to. What? Come on, you should have said so sooner. I'm embarrassing myself here. I'm telling you because I wanted you to understand. I don't need you to thank me for making these things for you. Because Gavial's Gavial. What the hell does that mean? Something very simple. Your fists are bigger than you think, Gavial. Because you have me. And me! And the Rhode Islanders, and all the people you've saved, and everyone in Akahuala too. Because in the end, you're right, Gavial. Ultimately, all those guys you beat into submission are willing to recognize you, because they realize that in the end, you're right. Gavial, you believe in the right things. You've never gone wrong. We all believe in you, Gavial. So our fists are your fists. And you can keep on believing in your fists. All you've got to do is charge ahead, Gavial. We'll help you out. You guys. Oh, but... Zumama, next time you make equipment for Gavial, I want to help too. I can do it myself. No, it's unfair only having a Zumama charm. I want to draw on my Dreamcatcher and the Gavial's will mark and no can do, Tamimi, that's too much. I'll only draw there. I only draw 3. If you don't let me draw anything, your tail will turn thick. No putting curses on my tail. Gavial, please don't bonk my head.
Standing by Avdotia, Inam can sense that this Lupa woman to her side is having a somewhat hard time believing her eyes. But to herself, it's a trivial, banal thing. She lets out a small sigh. She knows that finally she's come to a decision too. And on that note, I have a better proposal. Inam? I'll serve as Akahuala's Lord Amir.
Huh? I've hung around with you as a government messenger for all these years. I have the right to stand for Lord Amir. I just didn't want to before, that's all. Seeing as we'd have to force Tomimi back from Rhode Island, whereas I've been in Akahuala the whole time, I'd make a tidier fit for Lord Amir, wouldn't I? And I imagine that better assuages, that's the word. And I imagine that better assuages your concern, Avdotia. Yes, it does, but I have to say, you people really boggle my mind. No, we're just a couple of fools living in the rainforest. Inam, are you really sure about this? Well, this way you won't need to leave Gavial, will you? Gavial, I have this feeling we'll be fine friends, won't we? Of course we will. If you insist, then hell, go right ahead. Now I see. All else aside, you've definitely persuaded me. I'll make good on my commitment. However, Gavial, don't get carried away yet. An entire city's worth of people are headed for the surface. There's no precedent for something like this in all of Durin history. It's something the entire city has to decide on, and if the people ultimately dissent, then we're out of luck. Which is exactly why we need you to talk him over. Not a worry, I made you my promise. I'll do all I can. Haha, thanks.
Avdotia under her breath.
Honestly, I should be thanking you on behalf of all of Zeruerza.
Huh? What did you say?
I said I need to return and make some preparations. Alright, Are you able to draft my speech for me? No. Then I suggest you do something that plays to your strengths. If I do need you to help at any point, I'll let you know. Gotcha. Alright, Inam, we've gotta get you and Zumama back to the surface stat. Evac the elderly and children to someplace around Akahuala. Next, task force the working adults to enlarge the lifts, right? You got it. No problem. What about me, Gavial? You stay by my side, Tomimi. Avdotia's good on assistance, so let's go see if we can help Master Edge out with anything. Alright, excuse us. Come to think of it, Zumama, I know this isn't too realistic, but I'm supposing we can't return the way you and Gavial originally came? Yep, that's not quite happening. Then we'll need someone to show the way. The cave network's considerably complex about the network. I haven't forgotten as much for a single second. Stitch could work, since he brought us down. Elysium too. He might even find the way better than Stitch did. No need. Seeing as we still have time, you come with me. Huh? I'll be honest, luck played an enormous part in Stitch emerging from such a complex network alive. And Elysium's helping Master Edge out, so let's let him be here. You mean to say you know the way? The likelihood is nobody in modern-day Zeruerza does. But you know the Durin adventurers, filled with the spirit of exploration. Each time they finish a foray, they're always happy to record everything they've seen and heard in books, so they can share with their companions. And in the library, I once read such an adventurer's log, which finally detailed how he went through the cave network above the lift and made it to the surface. And while I don't know where said adventurer is now, he was considerate enough to leave behind a map.
Alright. Ooh, Jesus. Okay, and let's continue on stage 7, titled Way of Living. Different paths mold different people. Few can leave the path that molded them. So let's begin.
You know, Master Edge, I'm kind of intrigued. What was Stitch's mentor like?
I just knew you had an ulterior motive for coming with me, you runt. You bother yourself with that Stitch boy an awful lot.
You caught me red. That's just the kind of guy I am, hoping for everyone to hit it off and make friends.
Then you'd love his mentor. Finch Canvas was his name, most well-loved architectural designer in all of Zererza. His style might have been leagues apart from the Durin vogue, but when he explained things, he always captured our heart doing it. In his world, he'd, what was it? Right, throw off our ceaseless desires. His arguments were unique, relatively, but the Zererzans loved him.
So why would someone like him leave?
That's the mystery.
Huh?
He just up and went, and never told anyone.
That's pretty weird for sure.
As for the apprentice he left behind, we all recognize his talent, but, well, you've seen how he acts.
I bet it's to do with how his teacher suddenly left.
So we all reckon.
Oh, you got some results?
Let's take a look.
Verdict?
More or less how you predicted. We've got just under a month's time left.
A month? Should be enough to enlarge the lifts then.
Fancy meeting you here, Gavial.
Fancy me. Looks like you don't need me to pitch in anymore.
This about does it for the survey. Did you win over Avdotia?
Sure did. She said she'll help talk the Zererzans into it.
Good. All that's left should be putting out the official citywide notice of the situation. It's not just deciding how to head to the surface. We've got to settle the matter of the dome too.
Huh? What's up with the dome?
Oh, silly me. Nearly forgot you aren't Durins. Right. Calamity doesn't come to Durin City so often, but it's a decent bet a Durin has his city wrecked at least once in his life. It doesn't haunt us to leave the homes we grew up in. Contrarily, you see, we always make sure our cities are in the best condition before we leave them, so they greet destruction the finest they can be.
Wow, that kicks ass!
So you think? It's only natural for us. And no matter why that hole has been sitting in the dome all this time, we've got to do something about it now.
Yeah, speaking of the dome, where's Stitch?
Wasn't he with you?
What? He said he was gonna find you guys. Gavial, do you need Stitch? You know where he went? I met him when we came in. He didn't say anything to me. He just went outside the cave.
Huh?
You solemnly swear to us you have a map, and now you tell us that map's likely in some book on a shelf somewhere. I can hardly do anything about that. I've had no interest in returning to the surface after all. You should be content with the fact I could remember once seeing our forebear's map recorded in a book. If that cave network turns out to be as complex as you say, then I don't mind spending a little more of the time we do have. So, do you still remember what exactly that book was called? I've forgotten. I vaguely recall it should be a travel log detailing the Durin author's variegated experiences on the surface. What's the point of asking anyway? It's not as if we can read Durish. I can't, but don't forget, I've got my friends here.
Zumama, do you require help?
I want to find this travel log Avdotia is talking about, with a map recording the route through the cave network to the surface.
Library books, infrequently sorted, difficulty of search, relatively high.
If you find it, I'll give you all an intense round of maintenance.
Zumama, friend, assist Zumama. Assist Zumama, assist Zumama. We are as gods. Oh, wrong franchise.
Fantastic. Take it away then. I'll be waiting outside. Remember to shout for me if something gives you trouble. Yep. Also, High Priest.
Yep, the bird is here. Yes, I'm here.
Pitch in. What in the...
I just love her sudden reaction of what the fuck. Pardon?
A friend of mine.
Shouldn't you have asked me first if I knew any Durin, Zumama?
Is there any way you wouldn't?
Oh, are you still miffed I never told you about all this business underground? You see, Zumama, if I regaled you about every last thing I knew, you could figure out how to construct an entire nomadic city and build it too before I finished. Well, this sentence just, well, if the fact that these, literal animals that can talk in pretty much any language were around for hundreds of years, thousands even, have extremely high technological know-how, well, this little boyo, this little birdo proves it. Quite literally. Who the hell knows what they know and why they're here? My personal bet? They're just observers to see what is happening with the world, but they probably have some kind of leeway to just mingle around. My personal 5 cents to them. Anyway, I personally believe the pursuit of knowledge has to rest at some point, though I'm not a person per se.
Will you help or not?
If you'll pardon me once I find it.
Deal. Inam, what are you standing at the library doors for? I'm waiting for someone, and you? Library caretaker called me over to discuss something about refurbishing the place. He's been wanting to, but never got around to it. Now's a good chance. I've been a little curious about that. Plenty of time's passed since the broadcast, and okay, none of the city's Durins are panicking, but why are some even planning to refurbish their buildings? Oh, right, you're a surface dweller. I see. It would be lost on you. You have built those rowing cities to avoid disasters, haven't you? Yes. But we're different, see? Our cities can't move about. Nomadicizing cities built underground would be much more of a challenge, yes. Between you and me, I've heard of masters who've had thoughts of building cities just like that. You see, if we fit rock crushers and borer planes and the likes onto the dome, and slipped a base plate under the whole city, it might just be within reach.
I don't even want to imagine that.
I'm not great with construction, but that sounds even crazier than our nomadic cities are. And I've never heard of anyone looking to actually pull it off, truth be told. Anywho, our cities don't move, unnomadic if you will. But every one of our cities does have originium vein detector facilities which send off an alert when one of them encroaches. I wonder if those sensors could replace the jobs of catastrophe messengers. I've heard of them. It's not quite apples to apples, see, because the spread of originium veins is the only thing our sensors can pick up on. True, judging from what I've heard, there's also a stretch of time from vein discovery to vein activation, and outside of special circumstances like now, you had plenty of time to evacuate. But if hints of a catastrophe were detected, getting so much time to react would be a miracle. Circling back, you're used to abandoning your own cities then? Exactly the opposite, if I had to say. The Ruins adore everything that ties to this land. We adore machinery, buildings, every city we built. But should disaster insist on its way, then our cities are bound to be destroyed. And if we're going to face up to that reality, then there's something we have to consider. A city's inhabitants leave it because of calamity, but calamity doesn't last forever. There'll be other Durins, maybe even our own offspring and theirs, who will come upon the same land once again. They'll see the city's remains, they'll lament the disaster that befell it, but as the people who once lived and breathed in it, is that really all we want them to come and learn? Is surrender our only choice in the face of our inescapable fate? We don't accept that, we choose. We decide before calamity strikes what shape our city is going to greet its ruin in. We set out to make our progeny marvel at the fruits of our technology, to make them gasp at the traces we've left behind, to make them toast with their finest tipple to all our achievements. Just as we find other fallen cities and do the very same. Of course, we're sad to have to leave where we grew, but it's a sadness we're accustomed to. And in sad times for us, upkeeping our city such that it's in its best condition becomes more meaningful than ever, doesn't it? It's the body. It's what we call dressing our doomed city. It's such a romantic notion. Of course it is. The more straightforward reason is we can build a brand new city in as quickly as a few months, provided we bring the key industrial equipment and have our robots assisting. We'd never have the resources to spare for this otherwise. Yes, good point. Is that Stitch over there? This one? No. This one? Also no. This one? What's this doing here? I'll take it with me later. This book? It's a Casimirsian night novel. Is it yours? Ah, right, you can at least tell what that one is. It slipped my mind. I suppose it is. I brought it from the surface. About that. How exactly did a lone Ursus like you wander all the way from Ursus to a Durin city? My family all died in a noble conflict that had absolutely no honor to speak of, and I was forced to flee from my home. Assassins strayed me throughout my escape until I eventually fled into a cavern. Its structure was as complex as the one above the lift here, and I happened to find such a lift that led underground. And that's how I had the fortune to survive. It was that simple. Oh, that sure was pretty lucky. Do you have no other thoughts? Were you hoping for any? No wonder you're a friend of Gavial's. I've heard a lot of stories similar to yours aboard Rhode Island. You're already lucky enough just to have survived. Zerwer's a good place. It'd be pretty nice living somewhere like this. It is. I thought originally I'd be a lot angrier about the circumstances I'd landed in. But had my family really been so guiltless, my parents so benevolent in their day-to-day, simply befallen by wicked men's hate? Of course not. My father still cursed his antagonists more than he cared for his own family, right until his final moments. As I fled out from the back of our home, I knew nothing of even the whereabouts of my mother, and I was no more than an insignificant sacrifice in a sea of Ursus noble conspiracies. You're right, I'm very lucky. That's why I have to cherish this hard-won luck as well as I can. For sure. You're cruising to pick up a huge argument with Gavial, am I right? What gives you that idea? Because she might have talked you over, but thinking about it carefully, you never actually said what you really wanted to say. And you tried to argue with her again, but then you lost the opportunity, so your only choice was to bite your tongue. I've seen a lot of people pissed off by Gavial's whole personality. She gets me too, sometimes, and you're the most obvious kind about it. Alright, I admit it. I've never met anyone like Gavial. Whether I'm Ursus or Durin, getting a handle on her is elusive. If there's something you need to get off your mind, you can call me. You've helped me out. I'll think about passing it on to her for you. I'll refrain. I'm not in straits that desperate yet. However, I do have a proposal. I have no plans to formally make a return to the surface life. Once the danger is past, I'll be proposing the Durin's return underground. Of course, contact can never be easily severed once made, and so breaking off dealings will be nigh impossible. I recognize that much. And I admit that you, the Tiakau of Akahuala, may be possible relational targets. Thus, once the Durins rebuild their city underground, I'll invite you all to relocate from a rainforest void of anything to the land beneath the surface. At that point, I'm sure even one of Gavial's nature will understand just how wonderful Durin society is. Yeah, we'll pass. Why? Let's get back to that once we find the map.
Alright, and now to the after story. Attention all residents of Zeruerza, it's a fine day. The results of Master Edge's survey have just been made available. The active Originium vein is set to explode in approximately 25 days. Zeruerza is officially entering the preparatory phase of evacuation, commencing now. Following discussions between your representatives, a general meeting will be held at a suitable time slot in the forum. At the time, we will discuss the specifics of our evacuation program as well as the dressing of our doomed city. Residents of Zeruerza, stay tuned for further broadcasts. Deculture, wake up, Deculture.
Good boy, Robot Stitch.
Deculture? Deculture.
You're so silly, Robot Catch. Let's have the both of you fight.
What in all of love are you dreaming about? Deculture, wake up!
What's... You know, I'd like to ask why you're taking a nap in Stitch's garden again. Because it's so peaceful here.
You must have missed the broadcast as well, seeing how cold you were out.
Did something happen?
Master Edge went to the other shore, did his survey and found that the Originium vein got shifted close to the tunnel's entrance by the earthquake from before, and it's shockingly active too. We're going to hold a general meeting and decide on how we take refuge.
Oh. You didn't come here just to tell me that though, did you?
Right. I'm looking for Stitch.
If you want Stitch, I think he's ridden the boat I lent him to the other shore to meet Master Edge and the others.
Really? I'll wait for him here then.
Do you need him for something?
Yes, I'm hoping he'll return to the design department and work with us in amending the dome plans. Since Zeruerza is facing destruction, there's no sense in holding the landmark competition anymore, but we're lucky to still have some time. So we'll have to make a decision at the meeting regarding how to handle that hole the earthquake left in the dome.
I don't know, just leaving it sounds fine to me. Thoughts?
Even if we wanted to, we'd need the citizens to approve that first. It's an extremely significant thing to any architectural designer, letting a city reach perfection during its final moments. We're giving the city a final round of observation and putting out a plan we can fulfill in the finite time we have.
So you're hoping Stitch will return?
Right. I don't know why Master Finch left. All of a sudden, others might believe their tutor-apprentice relationship was fading, or their time was just up, but I know that can't be the case. As a former assistant to Master Finch, I know more than anyone that despite his personal utter lack of inhibition,
Inhibitation?
Okay. He cared very much for Stitch from the bottom of his heart. Stitch was like a son to him. So his departure has to have some inextricable link to Stitch. And as industrial representatives, you've seen the state Stitch has fallen into since his teacher left. His planning proposals kept getting overruled to the point he slowly stopped showing up at the design department, and I've been seeing it happen and wanting to help him somehow, but I've never been able to find a way. This dome was left to the city as the grandest work of Stitch's teacher, Master Finch. But do you think to Stitch it might be instead be a burden? Even so, you don't want him left with any regrets, right? Right. This is our last chance, Deculture. How very you.
Stitch! Stitch, are you there?
Huh? What are you two doing here? Catch! So you and Deculture got something going on, huh? No, we don't.
Wow, ice cold.
Keep me out of your banter, Elysium. Master Edge, Miss Gavial, good work. I'm just napping here, and he's waiting for Stitch to come back.
You're saying Stitch isn't? Stitch hasn't?
Didn't he bring you and your friends the equipment? And he made kind of a whole scene about it.
But he vanished partway and we don't know where he went. And here it turns out he's not home.
Tomimi ran into the runt and said he looked pretty damned unhappy. Any ideas? I don't know. I might.
Zumama, Zumama. Not in this row either.
Okay, move on to the next. This is tiring me out a little. I can't believe we still haven't found it. Go on, take a break. About my earlier question, I'd still like to know why, Zumama. I can't imagine you've been blind to how fine life is among the Durins. There's no noble conspiracies, no scheming, no jockeying, and even if there is, it's just plain adorable. Even as we're on the verge of calamity, the Durins have sufficient contingency plans in place, and they even have the leisure at this moment to consider how Zererza can greet its destruction in the best condition they can imagine. I'm not denying any of that, Avdotia. I think you're pretty on point. Durin life's not bad. I'm not refusing you because I think what you're saying is wrong. It's because I don't like it. If there was a Tiakau who wanted to come live underground, then I wouldn't stop them, and neither would Inam. But why? I'm not just rejecting surface life out of my own experiences. I've thought over this countless times, spending my days in the Durin cities. I believe, and results show, the Durins live an undoubtedly better life, one more in pursuit of culture. But why would you or Gavial or anyone not want a better life? My master isn't just wildly proficient with machines. She's really into movies and dramas too. She gets me watching all sorts of stuff and she doesn't even care if I'm interested. She explains it all to me. I've ended up remembering a few things over time. For example, when she sees a character about to go on a long speech, she always says, "Ugh, long-winded righteous guys like this either turn out as villains or they just get in the Protec's way. Can't they just make their characters a little cuter?" Why do you need to convince me or Gavial?
Oh, and might I add, young lady, your view of the Durins is actually quite wide of the mark.
In what way?
If you've said life in the Durin city-states was more on-demand or cozier or safer of a life, I wouldn't retort. But you hold that the Durin lifestyle is a better life, and I dare say that alone may well be wrong. You're a clever child. I'm sure the distinction there doesn't fly past you.
Good sir, I'm calling you that for now. I understand what you mean. But can you really say it's wrong for me to wish for others to live a more materially, spiritually plentiful life?
That's a different question. You're simply looking to redeem a little of the prestige you lost in an argument that's long since ended, no?
So basically, you think the pressure to Stitch, you think the pressure's to Stitch's mind, so he chose to run? Exactly. And if so, my bet is he's gone to a hut by the lakeside. Before he moved into this building, that was where he and his teacher lived together.
Catch, you know what I want to say here, don't you?
If we end up deciding to amend the dome design, and Stitch is still unwilling, then it's down to me, right?
It's not just for the sake of dressing the city. From a realistic standpoint, reinforcing the dome will buy us more time to evacuate. Finch and I were good friends, and I couldn't make sense of him leaving without a word either, so I'd be wanting to look after his student as best as I could. There's a boundary to everything.
Miss Gavial, can we trouble you to go find Stitch? You didn't need to ask, I was gonna. Tomimi volunteered to help the city people out with stuff, and having an empty plate bugged me. I think him and I have a little debt to settle at this point too. Then I'll leave it to you. Where's that hut? Just on the lakeside, similar style to this building, very unique. You'll see it the moment you get there. You got it. Catch, aren't you gonna go? I don't know how I should face Stitch under these circumstances. But you're worried sick for him, aren't you? Ever since Master Finch vanished, I've been wanting to help him, but I just don't know how. Come on, do I diagnose you with too nice or way too nice? Nah, I guess you Durins do give me that kind of vibe, on the whole. Huh? For reasons I don't know either, Stitch actually has kind of a inferiority thing. With his type of personality, you greet him with what you think is an equal approach, but to him it actually comes off like a sort of pressure from on high. Because for him it takes everything he's got just to pretend he's on the same level as you guys. You can't just invest some sincerity and expect results when it comes to communicating. So, what should I do? Well, alright. You treat me like a brother in times like these, I'll teach you a thing or two, just how brothers should. It's actually real simple. You don't say anything like I want a fair competition with you, and you don't say to him, you've got a choice. You seal off his escape route, and you tell him, you've got no choice, but I'll be right there with you, and we'll do our best. A man who spends too long shut in his own self-made space tends to need a little prodding from time to time. Mr. Culture, what do you say? Why ask me? I'm just making some of my own guesses here, but you clearly know him better than anyone. Stitch does have a sort of inferiority complex. You might just be right. He doesn't need tender comfort. He needs someone to really yank him out. Won't that hurt him? It will, and it's not guaranteed to turn out pretty. But if this is the last chance, as you say, then you ask yourself too, do you just want to get along better with him, or do you want him to make his way out, even if it makes your relationship worse? I'll give it a try. Then I think you ought to speed it up. Or we get Gavial's fists instead, and those sure don't settle for yank him out. I'll get going now then. Lively, extroverted, grasps social contact. They all fine character traits, Catch. You believe people should become that way, and you do work to see that happen. But you can't always hope for everyone else to be like you. Elysium's right too, and if I'm going to help Stitch, maybe that's what I need to do. But I think distress and evasion are just as correct too. So, Catch, seeing as you're going to do things your way, I'll do things my way. If Stitch wants to run, I'll help him run.
Deculture, Deculture, do you need us?
Go, help Stitch out. If Miss Deculture wasn't doing it on purpose, then she doesn't realize just how easy it actually is to read her face. She doesn't agree with what I say at all. Man, I haven't felt this youthful vibe in forever. It makes me want to join in on the fun a little. Nah, if I did go, I might just get swept in by Gavial. I don't want to be beaten for no good reason. Okay, Stitch, you better shake up and wake up. Turn a blind eye to all these guys who want to help you, and you don't know how it might come back to haunt you. I don't understand. You people clearly aren't as unreasonable as Gavial. Why do you insist so much on indulging her? I ask you, do you not look at Gavial and feel that we need someone like her? Inam, weren't you waiting outside? You spent so long in here, I thought you were up to something. Avdotia, you and I happen to be similar in ways. A huge part of why I came to serve as Akuhala's messenger was that I wanted to escape the unending strife between the Lords Amir. Akahuala has nothing to speak of, but life here is extremely comfortable. I'm a big fan of this land. And also, if we're raising worries, then I'm more worried than you about the Durins showing up causing issues. Then why are you still... Gavial's been gone from Akahuala for so many years and hasn't changed one bit. As if nothing anywhere across all four corners could make her surrender. When I see Gavial, I think to myself, so people like you still exist. I can't help but want to help her. It's that simple. Before I left Akuhula with Gavial, I was completely ignorant. I've seen so many things with Rhode Island, but I've slowly realized that what I'm really learning isn't just knowledge. There's so much across the world that I've never thought of, that at the same time is exactly how you should expect. I'm sure Gavial's seen plenty where she's just as powerless too. My dream is to build the mightiest machine in any land. But truth is, I still haven't figured out what I should use it for when I'm done. Still, seeing Gavial, I've gradually gotten some sort of an idea. The machines I make will be used to help her. There'll come a day when Gavial's fists meet a wall they can't break through. But that's not a problem with her. She's flesh and blood too, after all. And just like I've done here and now, I'll give her the greatest weapon. If fists won't do it, then take an axe. If an axe won't do it, then take a hammer. If a hammer won't do it, then take a drill. If a drill won't do it, then I'll build her an entire big ugly thing. And if a big ugly won't do, then I'll build her a nomadic city. And whatever she wants to do with that, she will. And if that doesn't work, I'll build a robot so large it will stand on top of a galaxy and fight another robot so large that it will stand on top of another galaxy. Wrong franchise, sorry. You really trust her that much? I do, because Gavial stands for Akahuala better than anyone ever could. Or anything ever could. She's the backbone of us, and in the future she'll be the backbone of even more. And if that is in our power, our own power, to make sure Gavial's fists are unhindered for eternity. Of course, realistically, I'm just as worried about leaving Akahuala to her purview will result in. With Gavial's temperament, giving her authority might discomfort the powers more than it will her. So if she really was going to serve as Lord Amir, I was planning to thoroughly groom her for a stretch. It probably wouldn't have done anything. I think so too. But even I never pictured I'd be willing to go so far for her. Your experiences have taught you to doubt people like Gavial from the start. I don't deny that. So maybe you can try to stand by believing in her. I'll give it an attempt. So, the map. Ah, I forgot.
Oh, I see you left it to this codger and all those bots to actually conscientiously, that's a word, search while you were all tied up arguing in Gavial's favor. And I only just realized this shelf has absolutely nothing to do with travel records. So I went to the other side and took a look, and I found it straight away. I think it's this we want.
Yes.
Avdotia, dummy. Avdotia.
Fine, I know. I was wrong. I'm sorry. Is that enough? Ah, Avdotia. Brilliant. You're still here. Master Edge sent a message a moment ago. He's proposing we hold a general meeting in the forum now, and the other representatives are all in favor. Now we need your view. Thank you, Zumama. Though I still don't really entirely accept it, perhaps I can indeed give it an attempt. Alright. Croquet, tell Master Edge I have no objections, and moreover, I'll be there to persuade the residents of Zeruerza.
Alright, and let's go to the final stage. For today at least. Stage 8, titled Metallic Scent. A metallic story plucks the strings of the heart. A metallic axe knocks at the door to the heart. Citizens of Zeruerza, I am your environment and climate representative, Edge Earnhardt. We are here today to discuss the future of Zeruerza. The survey results are back, and the representatives have discussed a few possible solutions. We will make our choice from these options today. We also hope to come up with an answer for how the city will move forward. However, today's meeting will be officiated by Avdotia.
Are you sure about this, Avdotia? Sure, you've lived in Zeruerza for quite a while and the people in town know you, but this is the first time you'll be standing before everyone, right? Yes.
Alright, you're up, Avdotia.
I might take some time, Master Edge. Is that okay?
Don't worry, you won't break my record of putting half the city to sleep.
I've never heard that story. Oh, I remember. Master Earthheart went into a long discourse about geology. He went on and on until the sun went down, and only stopped when he wore himself out. I probably won't go that long.
Go, Avdotia. This is the culmination of the time you spent here as our resident surfaceborn.
Thank you. Here goes.
Voices from far away. It's Avdotia! Avdotia, I'm with you no matter what you say!
Why don't my speeches get the same reception?
It's not just your record-breaking speech. All the other meetings you officiate last for ages.
I know you're always the first to fall asleep.
Not today. Avdotia looks different this time. What does she have on her mind? Fantastic. I respect Master Edge's knowledge, but his meetings are torturous.
Avdotia's voice is as beautiful as she is. I could listen to her all day.
Greetings, citizens of Zeruerza. I am Avdotia, literature representative. Today I officiate over this meeting that will determine Zeruerza's future. We have discussed with Master Edge and believe that there are 3 practical plans to carry out Zeruerza's evacuation. Before discussing the plans, however, there's something else that I want to talk about. It's about my past. Not the past of Avdotia Razorpen, but the past of Avdotia Nikolaevna Ivanova. When I first came to live among the Durins, I created my many stories and shared mine with many people. This, however, I've never told anyone. I want to share it with you today. I was born to a noble family in Ursus.
Avdotia, though she would struggle to find words, but she found her memories pouring out as soon as she opened her mouth. It was not that she did not know what to say, it was that she had too much to say and did not know where to start. The Durins do know what it means for her, but The Durins do not know what it means for her, but she does. This is the first time she's looked back on her past since coming to the Durins. She thought time would let the past fade, let her forget that she was once a woman of Ursus. Now, though, she realizes that the past never truly goes away. But meeting Gavial and the people she brought with her helps her realize this is not so bad. The past pulls her down little by little, a bit by bit, along with the Durins listening to her story. But she no longer feels pain from it, and thus neither do the Durins. Stitch sits in his room, trying not to think about it. But he can't help it. He knows this is the last chance. Let it go, and he will never surpass his teacher. And he has a feeling that if he does not win this time, he will always be second best, though to what he cannot describe. He knows, but he can't do it. He puts his arms around his head. Knock knock. There is someone knocking on his door.
Stitch, you're here, right? I know you're in there.
Leave me alone, Gavial.
We need to talk.
Talk to Catch if this is about the dome.
No can do.
Why?
Because this is your job. Open the door.
You're not coming in here.
That's not up to you.
The door and the walls around it collapse with a bang, and Gavial walks in casually, holding her great axe. She sees Stitch sitting by the desk with his arms around his head, his expression hidden. A few blank pieces of paper lie by his hand. A few more pieces of paper lie by his feet, either torn to pieces or crumpled up.
Design sketches for the dome. You wanted to do it, didn't you?
Can't you give me a break, Gavial?
It's not so much that I'm not giving you a break. Look at you, shutting yourself in this room, staring at sketches, holding in everything you're thinking. You're the one who's not giving yourself a break, Stitch.
You don't know anything.
Right, which is why I'm not taking you back by force. I don't know, so I gotta find out.
Why did you smash my door then?
You wouldn't have talked if I didn't.
You're just threatening me.
I'm a reasonable woman. I could even be convinced to help you if you have a good enough reason. I realized something on my way over here. You weren't happy with the whole dome repair thing, were you? From the very beginning? Life on the surface can be so colorful. I've never heard Avdotia talk about it. Right, Master Edge?
Huh?
It's nothing. Rare to see you drift off like this, though. What's the matter?
I was thinking about Stitch.
Stitch? Aren't Gavial and Catch looking for him? Ought to be fine, right?
The question isn't fine or not. Seeing him today made me realize I may have pushed him too hard without realizing.
You're talking about the dome repair?
Yes. Of course, I was in agreement about not repairing the dome, but I was also anxious about the broken survey equipment. You know how Stitch has been since his teacher went missing. He submitted a series of proposals for the dome that got rejected. At some point he stopped coming to design meetings, shuttering up in his room. I thought I could push him a little. If he could come up with a new plan to repair the dome, it would be an opportunity to bring it up. I could help him.
He ended up going to the surface dwellers to fix the railway.
Yeah, I didn't expect him to go this far to avoid fixing the dome. So I thought, forget it, the Originium vein takes priority. If he's so reluctant to repair it, just let it be. There will be more chances in the future. Little did I know, there would be no more chances.
This isn't your fault. If anything, it's Stitch's for running away.
But if this dome is so important to him, he'll regret it for the rest of his life if he doesn't seize the opportunity.
Why are you so against repairing the dome?
Because of the job my teacher left me.
Teacher? Job? Didn't Catch say your teacher went missing?
It wasn't a sudden disappearance.
Though he didn't tell anyone else, he did leave me an assignment. I have to win everyone over with my dome design and make the dome of Zeroerza my own. Only then will he come back to find me. Otherwise, he'll never come back. Your last name is Canvas too. Are you related?
No, I changed it later.
8 years ago I survived an Originium vein explosion. I had no home to return to, but my teacher took me in. So you're a Ripathy?
Yes, that was when I caught it.
On the surface, people with this disease are called the infected and cast out from society.
That's not the case among the Durins, but we can't fully cure it, only keep its symptoms in check.
It's the same up there.
So yeah, pretty much the same thing that pretty much Rhode Island is doing, while most countries have like a means of suppressing the symptoms. Rhode Island pretty much has both equipment and well, medicine to keep it in check, so to say. And apparently the Durins have also the same thing that they themselves developed underground. Even more, considering we only see more like a resort here. Even more of an evidence of they have some ridiculous level of technology down there. And I would love to see maybe another story in the future taking place in an actual normal city. Would be an idea, right?
It's the same up there. So I changed my name to that of my mentor and studied architecture under him. I hear he was pretty famous.
Of course, Finch Canvas was the design representative of Zeroerza. Surface dwellers would call our style minimalist.
We oppose elaborate and flashy designs, seeing them as the unchecked spread of desire, the product of slothful life. At this rate, we will inevitably be swallowed up by our own desire. That's why we advocate a lifestyle that emphasizes the true nature of things.
True nature?
How things are in their most natural state. We oppose all unnecessary functions, trying to keep things the way they are. This is our rebellion against a life of desire. Like the simple design of your room? No, my style is not exactly the same as that of my teacher. My style came from his, but in some ways we go in opposite directions. Allowing the city to welcome destruction while looking its best is a luxury that comes only from our excess productivity. It is arrogant and wasteful. One's time is limited, and my clock is ticking. You're infected too, Gavial. Don't you understand? You only have so much time left. You need to spend your efforts on something more meaningful. Of course, that's why I study medicine, so I can heal myself and people like me. But if that's how you feel, why not seize this last chance?
You think I don't want to?
Do you see the sketches here?
They are proof of my failure over the years. I made proposal after proposal only to see all of them rejected. After that, I couldn't even come up with a passable sketch. I don't know who is the problem. The Zeruerzans or me. All I know is that the mere sight of the dome fills me with fear. It's like a cage that my teacher has locked me in, trapping me forever. Even if it's my last chance, I can't do it anymore. Even if I come up with a new plan, there's no hope of it getting through. And you tell me how I'm going to come up with a new plan that can pass review in such a short time? I'm not coming with you, Gavial. I'm a failure. Tell Master Edge that if he wants the dome fixed, he can have Catch do it. He'll undoubtedly do a better job than I can. Alright, I get it now. All the more important for you to come with me. Haven't you been listening? Yep. But you're the only one who's got to explain it to the gang. Ugh. Stitch is in danger. Stitch is in danger. Protect Stitch. Protect Stitch. Hey, where did these bots come from? Stop right there. And he books it. Alright, this will be it for today's part. As said, well, now that I look at the timer, it's almost about the same as the last episode, but never mind. The last part will then feature the last stage and whatever comes afterwards. I don't know if there's actually another stage after number 9, considering in the achievements achievements for this event I only saw it go up to 9, so if there's another stage after that, well, whatever. It'll be a longer part. But yeah, this will mark the end. Isn't it interesting how the story suddenly went from beach-friendly fun, booze and fun on a beach and surfing, diving and sliding down big water slides to existential dread, destruction, city-wide evacuations. It's like halfway through the story, suddenly we are like, ah yes, I remember now, I am reading an Arknights story. But yeah, anyway, this will be it for today's part, and next time we'll see how this story concludes. But until then, I hope you have a fantastic day wherever you are, and I hope you have a lot of luck on the banner if you're still pulling or are gonna pull. And I'll see you in the next one. Until then, bye bye.